Uncertainty is an inevitable aspect of life, encompassing everything from relationships to career choices and personal endeavours. When faced with uncertainty, we often seek ways to mitigate the discomfort and anxiety associated with unknown outcomes. Surprisingly, self sabotage emerges as a complex strategy through which we attempt to gain a sense of control and predictability in uncertain situations. In this video, we delve into the complex phenomenon of self sabotage, examining how it can be perceived as a means to more accurately predict outcomes during times of uncertainty. And what I like to refer to it as misguided self love. I'm Jo Banks. I've been a professional executive business coach for 15 years, and I'm sharing what I know. Understanding self-sabotage. Self-sabotage encompasses a range of behaviours and thought patterns that undermine our goals, desires, and well-being. From procrastination and self-doubt to perfectionism and avoidance, self-sabotage manifests in various forms. It can be triggered by a fear of failure, a fear of success, a fear of judgment, or underlying beliefs of unworthiness. While self-sabotage may seem counterintuitive, especially in pursuing positive outcomes, it often serves as a coping mechanism deeply rooted in the desire for control and predictability. Interestingly, there has been nothing but change throughout human history. However, change is what most of us still fear the most. By sabotaging our efforts or preemptively expecting failure, we attempt to protect ourselves from disappointment, rejection, or loss, thereby maintaining a sense of familiarity and security in the face of uncertainty. The evolutionary fear of change. Humans fear uncertainty due to evolutionary factors ingrained in our ancestral past. Throughout human evolution, survival depended on our ability to predict and control our environment. Uncertainty often signaled potential threats such as predators, scarce resources, or environmental dangers. Those individuals who were more cautious and avoided uncertain situations were more likely to survive and pass on their genes. This instinctual fear of uncertainty has, therefore, been preserved and is deeply rooted in our psychology today, often manifesting as anxiety, stress, or unconscious self-sabotage when we're faced with the unknown or unpredictable circumstances. Known pain versus unknown potential pleasure. A saying that I use frequently with my clients and in my resilience and mental toughness training is, our subconscious mind would rather keep us in known pain than move us towards potential pleasure. Our subconscious mind often prefers familiarity, even if that familiarity is painful, rather than venturing into the realm of unknown pleasure. Again, this tendency can be traced back to its evolutionary roots. Additionally, the subconscious mind tends to prioritize short-term relief over long-term gains. Although uncomfortable, known pain is familiar, and the mind may perceive it as a safer option compared to the uncertainty of potential unknown pleasure. The prospect of venturing into the unknown can trigger, as I said earlier, a fear of failure, rejection, or disappointment, which the subconscious mind interprets as potential threats to our survival. In this way, our subconscious mind often opts for the perceived safety of familiar discomfort rather than risk the uncertainties of pursuing potential pleasure. This tendency can lead to self-sabotaging behaviours, as we may unconsciously resist change or growth in favour of maintaining the status quo, even if it means perpetuating our own suffering. Understanding these subconscious mechanisms is essential for overcoming self-sabotage and embracing positive change. The illusion of predictability. As I've already mentioned, in uncertain situations, the human mind craves predictability and certainty to reduce anxiety and maintain a sense of stability. So, self sabotage can be viewed as an attempt to create a sense of predictability by influencing the outcome through familiar behavior patterns. For example, an individual may self sabotage a budding romantic relationship by pushing away their partner or creating conflict, thereby preemptively ending the relationship to avoid the uncertainty of potential rejection or abandonment. Another example I frequently see with clients on a weight loss journey is that when they start working with me, they'll tell me that they've lost weight lots of times and may have even got to within half a pound of their ideal weight. But then they've self sabotaged and put all the weight and often more back on within a really short space of time. When I dig into their background, I usually find a deeper rooted reason hiding in the subconscious for why being seen is not safe. The nearer they get to their goal weight, the more other people notice and comment, telling them how wonderful they look and what a brilliant job they've done. Now, consciously, that might feel wonderful. However, unconsciously, if there's something going on in their background, that attention can tap into something hidden in their past that makes being seen unsafe. Of course, that's not every case, but I do find that's incredibly common. Unless I work with the client on uncovering and dealing with the underlying reason, they'll likely yo-yo diet for the rest of their lives. Another example I see frequently is people failing to take their career to the next step, whether that's a promotion, a change of career, or change of job in another company, or even setting up their own business. They will procrastinate or self-sabotage, never quite getting themselves to do everything they need to do to reach their goal. Deep-rooted beliefs for the sabotage could be unworthiness, low self-esteem, fear of rejection, etc. Then we have relationships. We may stay in a relationship way too long, knowing that it's no longer serving us and we might be deeply unhappy. However, we don't leave. And if we do, we may end up going back. Again, deep-rooted beliefs could be unworthiness, low self-esteem, fear of loneliness, fear of an uncertain future. While all of these types of behaviors might seem counterproductive on the surface, they provide a false sense of control by dictating the outcome based on familiar narratives and expectations. I don't think it's coincidence, but often when someone keeps sabotaging or procrastinating, whether in their career or personal relationships, something will happen to force them to do something about it. I have seen it too many times not to believe that something is happening outside their control and power. I call it the cosmic kick. And you can believe this or not, but oh my goodness, I've seen it hundreds of times. Someone might get made redundant or find that their partner is cheating on them, and that's the final straw, and they have to take action. They're forced into it. They can no longer ignore their situation. These moments I call cosmic kicks. Procrastination and self-sabotage. Procrastination is closely related to self-sabotage as it involves delaying or avoiding tasks that must be accomplished, often leading to negative consequences. When procrastinating, we prioritize short-term relief or comfort over our longer-term goals or responsibilities. This behavior can stem from various underlying factors such as fear of failure, perfectionism, lack of motivation, or difficulty managing emotions. In the context of self-sabotage, procrastination becomes a way of undermining your success or well-being. Delaying essential tasks or goals may inadvertently sabotage your chances of achieving success or fulfilling your potential. Procrastination can also reinforce negative self perceptions and contribute to a cycle of avoidance and frustration, further perpetuating self sabotaging behaviors. Therefore, addressing procrastination is often crucial to overcoming self sabotage and fostering personal growth. Self sabotage as misguided self love. At its core, self sabotage can be reframed as misguided self love, a subconscious attempt to protect yourself from perceived harm or disappointment. By sabotaging your own efforts or expectations, you may believe you're acting in your best interest, albeit through maladaptive means. And don't forget, all self sabotage goes on in the subconscious. We're not consciously aware of what we're doing or why we're doing it. For instance, if you doubt your abilities or fear success, you may unconsciously sabotage your efforts for advancement or recognition, believing that failure or mediocrity is preferable to the uncertainty and pressure of success. In this way, self sabotage becomes a misguided attempt to shield yourself from potential pain or discomfort, albeit at the cost of personal growth and fulfillment. Breaking the cycle of self sabotage. Overcoming self sabotage requires a conscious effort to challenge underlying beliefs, cultivate self awareness, and develop healthier coping mechanisms for navigating uncertainty. Identifying triggers and patterns. I say this in pretty much every video I make. Awareness is everything. We cannot change what we're not aware of. I highly recommend writing down or journaling the types of things that trigger you into self sabotage or procrastination. I'll talk about journal prompts in a bit. Recognize situations, emotions, or thoughts that trigger self sabotage behaviors. You will notice patterns, the things that you just keep repeating. Start looking beyond the surface behaviors, thoughts, and emotions and try to find where they originate. Typically, if you look deeply enough, it will be something you learned in childhood, either by watching and absorbing the behaviors of your caregivers or from something you decided unconsciously worked for you through what we call trial and error. For example, if way back when you were in school, you were laughed at when you read out loud in class, that shame and embarrassment can stay lodged in your nervous system. Then, any time in the future, well into adulthood, if you're asked to do a presentation or stand up in front of a crowd, you will likely try to find a way to sabotage it so that you don't have to do it. Your nervous system remembers the shame and embarrassment and is trying to lead you away from that happening again. Although you may not immediately recall the childhood experience that triggered your self sabotage, it doesn't mean it's not there. Again, we can't change what we aren't aware of. If you keep a journal or a note of these types of instances and these types of things that happen to you, you can start to uncover underlying patterns. When you do this, you can begin to interrupt that cycle and choose a more adult, adaptive response. Challenge negative beliefs. When you've identified your triggers and your patterns, and this might take a few weeks, maybe even a few months for you to identify most of your triggers, you can begin to examine the beliefs and the narratives that are fueling your self-sabotage. Again, such as fear of failure, perfectionism, feelings of unworthiness. Challenge these beliefs by seeking evidence to the contrary and reframing them in a more empowering light. I recommend clients use this 6-step process. I use it frequently myself too. So, number 1, ask yourself, what am I sabotaging or procrastinating over or avoiding? So write that down. Number 2, ask yourself, what is the belief or the thought that I have around this thing? You might need to dig a bit deeper here. Number 3, where does this thought or belief originate? Again, this is another one. You might need to dig down into your past for this one. And it can also be helpful to do this with a coach or a therapist. Number 4, is that thought or belief still valid today? Most often, I would say probably 99 times out of 100, you will find that will be a throwback to something that happened way in the deep and distant past that should no longer have a hold over you. Number 5, what's a more realistic thought or belief? Bring yourself right back to present day in your adult body and look at what's happening critically and come up with a more realistic, empowering belief. Number 6, what action can I take today to overcome my self-sabotage? Whenever I'm talking about goal setting, I always say never leave the scene of setting a goal without taking action towards its achievement. Taking action there and then or as soon as possible tells your subconscious mind that you're serious about achieving your goal. I recommend going through this 6-step process for each of the limiting beliefs or triggers that you've identified over the previous few weeks. Let me give you an example of this in my life so that you can understand how this 6-step process works. So, number 1, what am I trying to avoid? Well, I really struggle to ask people for help or for what I need or want. Number 2, what is the thought or belief behind that? The thought or belief is people don't want to help and I'll feel rejected, embarrassed, and ashamed. Number 3, where does it originate? It happened a lot in my childhood with my parents. They struggled to meet my basic needs, so I learned not to ask for anything to avoid disappointment, shame, and embarrassment. Number 4, is that still valid today? Heck no, of course it's not. I am no longer a child, and my parents were very special people. Most people want to help and are happy to help. And if they say no, that does not reflect on me as a person. Number 5, what's a more realistic thought? My wants and needs are valid and I have the right to ask for what I need. Number 6, what action am I going to take? I'm going to write a script and I'm going to call that client or that person and ask for what I need. You can use this process for absolutely anything that you're sabotaging yourself over, whether that's weight loss, a new job, a relationship. Doesn't matter what it is, that same 6-step process will really work. Next, we have practice self-compassion. Cultivate self-compassion and kindness towards yourself, recognizing that self-sabotage is often rooted in the desire for self-protection and safety. Treat yourself with the same understanding and empathy you would offer a friend facing similar challenges. I've done a video on cultivating self-compassion. I'll leave the link below. Set realistic goals. Break larger goals into smaller, manageable steps, or journey goals, we call them in coaching. Allowing yourself to progress gradually without feeling overwhelmed or having pressure or expectations of perfection. Celebrate the small victories and wins along the way, reinforcing positive behaviors and building confidence. When we celebrate the small wins, we release dopamine, the reward chemical that makes us feel happier and helps us pursue our goals with more vigor. I'm sure you know people who like list writing. They get great joy from ticking things off a list. They may even add things to a list that they've already done, just so that they can get that good feeling from ticking things off. That's the dopamine effect. It makes us feel good when we celebrate even the smallest win. Seek support. Reach out to friends, family members, or a therapist or coach like me for support and guidance in navigating the challenges of self-sabotage. Uncovering unconscious limiting beliefs and overcoming self-sabotage is something that I do practically with every client I work with. It's extremely powerful to see people realize what's been holding them back and have a strategy for overcoming it. Having a supportive network can provide validation, perspective, and encouragement as you work towards change. The wrap up. In a world filled with constant change and unpredictability, embracing uncertainty is essential for personal growth and resilience. While self-sabotage may offer a temporary illusion of control, it ultimately hinders progress and prevents you from realizing your potential. By reframing self-sabotage as a form of misguided self-love and adopting healthier coping strategies, you can navigate uncertainty with greater clarity and confidence, plus authenticity, paving the way for a more fulfilling and empowered life journey. What next? If you have any words of wisdom on this topic or any questions you'd like me to answer, please leave them in the comments section below. I really love interacting with you all and really value your feedback. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. I've got a whole host of new videos and topics coming up in the next few weeks. However, if there's anything in particular you'd like me to cover, again, leave it in the comments section below and I'll add it to the list. Finally, as always, a huge thank you to everybody who stays until the very end, and thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you.